What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video I want to talk to you guys some more about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I enjoy doing these discussion videos for the most part. Most of you seem to enjoy them. I haven't been uploading gameplay of the game the last couple of weeks or so because I haven't really wanted to be honest, but we have something to take a look at here today, which is basically a document that was worked on by several figures in the community that I think is going to be very worthwhile. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but it's pretty hefty. But I personally really wanted to look through this, and I figured if I was going to look through it, I should do it on camera for a video. We can discuss it and give my thoughts and everything as we go through. So basically, I woke up today to this tweet from Dragon Mashi. He says, "Hey Lotus, sorry for going off topic from your Pokemon tweet. Have you read this incredibly detailed document feedback of Sparking Zero by some of the Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3 era pros? Can you do a video on it? It can also make you have a greater appreciation of Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3. I had heard of this document, I hadn't seen the document, but I actually am very curious as to what is in store for it, so we will be taking a look at it here today. So what I'm going to do is open this up. It's going to be mad bright, but it's fine. And so we're going to take a look at this here. This has several different contributors, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff in here I agree with, and I'm sure there's going to be some stuff that I disagree with, but yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. So, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Should I zoom in a little bit for you guys? I probably should zoom in, huh? Let's go. 200 is a bit much. 150, is that solid? Is that decent? I apologize for the flashbang. Does this actually, quick, let me see. Can I put this in dark mode by chance? No, it doesn't look like it. So we're just gonna have to make do and deal with it. So, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero feedback form. Overview. This document aims to provide feedback from Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. In these lists, you will find issues and features that many players would like to see updated, removed, or added. The previous titles in the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi Sparking series combined ideas that appeal to both casual and competitive audiences. Tenkaichi 2, or Sparking Neo, and Tenkaichi 3, Sparking Meteor, in particular, were games that were easy to pick up, but difficult to master. While Sparking Zero provides many options for competitive gameplay, a lot of mechanics can be unintentionally abused, making many of the actual combat options redundant. This makes Sparking Zero easy to pick up and in some senses easy to master through means that should not be rewarded, for example, spamming and abusing certain skills. This document will also provide additional information on how the game can extend its longevity through updates to the mechanics, content, and quality of life features. You can see here we've got a table of contents where we have overview, the contributors, the legend, gameplay. They talk about super counter, Z counter, perception, and super perception, skills and skill count, offense, defense, rush attacks, combos, key blast, grabs, movement dash, etc., etc. So you see the list here. So contributors for this, we have R Creeps, Avatar Yaya, DBZ Skills, Grandmaster Hawk, HH, JD, or HXH. My brain immediately omitted the X because Hunter x Hunter, and I gotta assume that's the reference. JD, Just Solid, Mo Piccolo, Phantom, Panzu-chan, Tech, and Ziad. I am not familiar with most of the people on this list because I'm not super tapped into the competitive scene of Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3. I know some of the names, like Grandmaster Hawk I've seen, Avatar Yaya is a creator who I'm familiar with, JD as well, but I'm not going to pretend like I'm some expert on Tenkaichi 2 and 3 or the competitive scene. I know a little bit, but there's a lot more that I don't know than do know. Then we have their legend. So everything highlighted in red they believe needs immediate action, everything highlighted in yellow is something that they believe requires heavy consideration for the game's longevity, and everything in green can be implemented alongside the game's life cycle. Gameplay. If an opponent disconnects or rage quits, their rank points should decrease whilst the player that stays should be rewarded with an increase of rank points. Adding a timeout system may also help this issue. Rage quitting is obviously very rampant in this game. It is something that is abused in any game where players are not punished. And frankly, I feel like most video games I play don't actually have a proper system in place for punishing rage quitters, and it's always an issue. I would like to see this game be one of the ones that actually does do something about it, because there are games that do. Like, at the very least, even if rage quitters aren't being punished, like, one player should still be rewarded, you know what I mean? Games like Mortal Kombat, which I've played, which even though that game has its fair share of issues, MK1 is able to reward the players with the points that they should be getting for the other player disconnecting. And not only that, but they also even have a built-in like animation or like mechanic called a quitality, where when your opponent quits, you know what I'm saying, you get a special animation that plays and like a special, like, you know, windscreen and everything for that. So it can very clearly be done. I don't know, you know, how it's technically like you know, programmed or whatever, but it can clearly be done by developers. So hopefully Sparking Zero is able to figure something out with that. Then we get into super counters. You guys know I have been very, very vocal in my opinion of super counter. I am very much not a fan of how it is implemented in this game. I know it was in older games. I think the older games did it a lot better. And I think it needs to be tweaked a lot. I think it is one of the things that is making the game kind of boring and unfun in a lot of ways, but that's my opinion. We'll see how they feel. Adjust the super counter cooldown. I agree. The input can be spammed without consequences. Back in Tenkaichi 3, the game puts a 1-second cooldown on super counters when the input is pressed with the incorrect timing, and the game used to punish players who press the input again by resetting the cooldown period. It appears in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero that the game doesn't have as long of a cooldown, nor does it punish players who press the input repeatedly. Grandmaster Hawk specifically mentioned this in a video that he recorded, or not that he recorded, but he there's a YouTuber by the name of I believe his name was Tymir. Tymir made a video and he spoke with Grandmaster Hawk through Discord DMs, and he showed some screenshots where basically he was talking about how much longer the cooldown was and how you got punished for it in Tenkaichi 3 compared to Sparking Zero. I understand that they also opened the input window because before it was a frame perfect input in Tenkaichi 3, whereas in this game in Sparking Zero it's a 4-frame window, and that's for the sake of accessibility and also what's what I'm looking for. Accounting for like online delay and everything like that, right? So I understand ease of use, accessibility, lowering the skill floor, everything like that, and lag. So I understand why they won't shrink the window back to the way that it used to be, but I do feel like there needs to be some sort of drawback to it, right? A big issue I have with a lot of things in this game right now is that there's very high reward for very little risk, and that was a big issue that I had with Dragon Ball FighterZ, and why I stopped enjoying that game so much and ultimately quit playing is because they kept doing more and more to increase the reward for anything and everything that you could do in that game, while mitigating as much risk as possible, to the point where it's like you just throw out all these crazy moves and get really high reward, and if you're wrong or you mess up or make a mistake or whatever, it's like very unlikely for you to get punished, or the punishment isn't nearly, you know what I'm saying? It's just very skewed in the reward's favor, and I don't think that makes for a good gameplay experience in my opinion, and a lot of people seem to agree with that. Some people don't, but you know. Moving on, super counters should be a lot faster so as to make avoiding them more skillful and to cut down on how often Z counter exchanges occur. I hadn't really thought about this. I have mixed feelings on this. I understand it though, because the way super counter works right now, it's very easy to react to, right? I banish super counter very often when I am playing the game, but you might say, so then why do you have such an issue with super counter? It's because offense doesn't feel rewarding at all in the game because of how super counter currently works, which makes the game a lot less fun for me. But also, just because you can vanish it doesn't really mean a whole lot, because then they can super counter the vanish, or you just engage in the vanish war, which isn't fun, which by the way, Z counter is vanish in case you forgot or weren't aware. I think, well, let's finish reading this part. Super counters happen very often, but they usually don't land their actual hit against the enemy. What tends to occur is the following: the player will use a super counter and the opponent will respond with a Z counter. Super counters generally do not land unless the opponent has no key. And this is relatively true, especially at a pretty higher level. Most players are going to be able to react to super counter and vanish it, and then you either have to start a super counter war or engage in the Z counter exchange. But I think what I would like even more is the idea that, like, Voxelize has discussed with me in a video that I recorded, you know, a couple weeks back, where it makes that super counter just isn't vanishable, but it costs a resource. And like maybe vanishing should cost more keys. Like you have to make several chains all at once, but I think like a better system, in my opinion, would be vanishing costing more key, super counter also costing key, costing less than the vanish, but it's not vanishable. I understand not everybody's going to agree with that. I get it. This is another method that I necessarily wouldn't be opposed to, to where super counter is just faster, making it more difficult to do. But I mean, depending on how fast you do it, skilled players are still going to be able to do that, so it doesn't really solve anything unless you're making it like a frame perfect input, so where it's like rare for it to happen, and then in which case you virtually make it so that it's, you know, not vanishable or whatever. But I get it. If you at least make it a lot more difficult, like you have to shorten that window a lot in order for this to actually matter. So it would essentially do the same thing as what I just said, maybe with less effort or less work on their end. So who knows? Super counter should be accessible during Z counter exchanges. Allowing super counters during the exchange would allow for a skillful option to escape. This is possible with some characters in Tenkaichi 3. Then we move on to Z counters, which are vanishes. Remove the voice lines for after mid-strike vanishes or make it limited. It is irritating to hear the same voice line multiple times in a row. Use a vanish audio cue instead, please. I don't really have a huge deal with this one in particular, but yeah, I'm not opposed to this change at all. Make Z counter chains quicker. Z counter should take more key to perform, and they should be faster in general. I agree wholeheartedly. I have said this exact same thing myself in videos. I said it just earlier. It should be faster. The input window should get faster and faster with each consecutive vanish, in my opinion. But even if you wanted to make the timing for the initial one faster or like more difficult to do as well, I'm not opposed to that either. And yes, I do think it should cost more key. I think a lot of things in this game should cost more key than they do. I think Key Blast should cost more key if they're going to remain as powerful as they are. Vanishing should cost more key. And frankly, I feel like super counter should cost key, but they're not going to do that. I understand. It just is what it is. Currently, exchanges of Z counters take too long to complete when both players have a lot of key. Z counter should take most of it, if not an entire bar of key per vanish. I agree. I do think it should be an entire bar. Additionally, the player with less key should be the one who wins the exchange by either teleporting behind the attacker but not knocking them away, or by knocking them away while locking out immediate follow-up options. This is to prevent a positive feedback loop, i.e. the player with high key will typically stay at high key indefinitely. Yeah, I agree. Make vanishes more visible / audible like in Tenkaichi 2 and 3, including for skills such as Aftermath Strike. The vanishing effect currently has no proper visual or audible cue to let a player know that their opponent has vanished. This makes it extremely difficult to counter some skills. Yeah, it's like you basically are relying, and maybe they did it on purpose. That's why the voice line works the way that it does, because they don't have it. So I understand why they wrote both of these. Like, you are kind of supposed to rely, I guess, on the voice line. I do think it would make more sense to have the vanish actually have a better audio cue as opposed to relying on the voice line, because that can be way more annoying. But you know, this is more of a quality of life thing than anything else, but I agree with it. I definitely agree with it. Then we move on to perception and super perception, which you guys know, again, I feel like the defensive mechanics in this game are very obnoxious, need some tweaking. Very high reward, very little risk. Perception should not be able to be mashed the way that it is. Perception is something else that should cost more key. You should not be able to tech throws when you get thrown while doing perception. So let me see what they're saying. For standard controls, while in the perception stance, the guard input can be spammed to break throws. Please remove this. Strong agree. Perception recovery is too fast. Strong agree. It allows repeated use without any repercussions while taking little key. Please add a cooldown to the input to avoid repeated use. Yes, it should have more recovery. You should not be able to tech throws, and it should cost more key. Again, the reward is way too high for the very, very, very low risk of these moves and these mechanics. And then we have this gif here. Yeah, and this is all you see when you fight. When you're playing online, you just see people mashing perception constantly. They mash perception while they're being hit. They mash perception in neutral. You can tech throws so that you can't even use like proper counterplay to it. Sidestepping, they can autocorrect to. You know what I mean? It's so dumb. It shouldn't autocorrect at all, by the way. A sidestep should just straight up beat it. Like, there has to be some risk reward. There has to be like better counterplay to these options. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I ain't even mad that these options exist, but they're just so accessible and like they play the game for you so much. Doing a rush combo can lead into a Russian attack. Russian attack shouldn't be defendable with a super perception. The rush I strongly agree. The rush combo should be the safe way to combo unless the opponent has enough skill to super counter or guards one of the 3 Russian attacks. You should not be able to super perception here. This facts. While we're at it, make the window for a sonic sway even tighter. While we're at it. I don't think they're going to talk about that here, but Sonic Sway should be harder to do than it is. Skills and skill count. Also, I feel somewhat vindicated because like I'm going to have my opinion regardless, but to know that a bunch of other players who are really, really good and well respected and like some of the best at Tenkaichi 2 and 3, when people try to use those games as a crutch so much and just tell me I'm a scrub and needs to get good, when these guys are all saying the things that I've been saying, I'm just like, what you going to say now? Only argument you have at this point is, well, if you don't like the game, don't play it, which I haven't been. But I want to play the game. I want to like the game. So I want to see it improve because right now I don't think it's anywhere near as good as it could be. And clearly a lot of other people seem to feel the same way. So like, I know that I'm kind of beating a dead horse at this point when I make videos like this or when we have these discussions, but it's like, you have to understand that it's like, it's not me just trying to hate on the game. It's like, I don't like the game, so I haven't been playing it, right? But I want to like the game. I want to play the game. I want to make more content on the game. I want the game to be successful. I want to have longevity. There's a reason why so many people, including myself, aren't really making as much content and why the content that is being made isn't getting the same views that it was at the start. Yes, some of that or most of that was par for the course. There is obviously going to be immediate fall off. Most games are going to lose the majority of their players after that first month when the initial hype dies down. That's all expected, and that happens with every major game. However, maybe it shouldn't be this drastic or this quick for a game like this, and you know what I'm saying, I just feel like the proof is in the pudding. And for those of you who are still enjoying the game and having a lot of fun, I love that for you. But I think a lot of these things that if they were to change, you would love the game just as much, if not more. That's me. Skills and skill count. Slow down skill count recovery speed significantly. Yo, there's bar for bar. I should have been part of this document because they saying everything I've been saying. Slow down skill count recovery speed significantly by like half. The game is far too generous with how quickly these are gained. You should not be gaining as much skill count as you do for the Vanish War, and generally speaking, just the rate at which your skill count increases is way too fast, which is what allows you to do all these instant sparks, which is what allows you to keep using After Image Strike, which is what allows Yajirobe to get those Sensu Beans off, which is what allows the androids to get their super armor up. It's like, it's too fast. It's too fast. It's too much. Like, you don't even have to nerf the skills themselves. I really think it makes more sense to have skill count slowed down. Giving players more opportunities to abuse skills. The game provides lots of active ways to obtain charge on skill counts. To compensate, the passive recovery speed of skill count should be decreased significantly. Some of the ways skill count can be obtained: losing any bar of health, taking damage from behind, doing dragon homing offset trajectory after a smash, any recovery, Z counter chains, sonic sway, beginning of any impact chain, and winning any impact action. Like, it's too much. Bring back the slow key charge debuff, aka key sickness. Far too many skills can currently be abused without consequence. Some examples include skills which grant access to sparking mode and after image strike. In Tenkaichi 3, this feature prevented a player from abusing them by slowing down their key charging speed. I don't know why this was removed from the game. They removed a lot of stuff from Tenkaichi 3 to Sparking Zero. They removed a lot of stuff from Tenkaichi when making Sparking Zero that I guess made the game like easier, but it's like at the cost of like the competitiveness of the game, the skill gap in the game, and just like the overall gameplay balance and like just stuff that made sense and made the game better. IMO, but don't take my word for it. Yeah, by slowing down the key charging speed. Tenkaichi 2 fixed this issue from the first Tenkaichi game. Tenkaichi 3 also slightly slowed down the dash speed with this debuff. It's unclear when After Image Strike's effect is supposed to end. The game doesn't show the timer until 30 seconds remain in the match, making it difficult to consistently tell when it will end. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if the timer was at the top of the screen the entire time. I don't necessarily feel like I need any sort of indicator that After Image is active. I feel like the timer for the matches should just be at the top of the screen during the match. I don't really know why it's not. Offense. Either doing a recovery dragon dash smash or a dragon smash in general is automatically held if the opponent is about to recover. Remove this. This wastes ki for no reason when the player stopped holding their punch button after inputting dragon smash. Agree. The unguardable Z-burst dash that giants have shouldn't be able to hit multiple times in quick succession. Agree. It's Dr. Wheelo. Let's get that out the game. Let's nerf that somehow. The game's normal combo rules prevent using multiple of the same rush chain without kicking the opponent out of the combo. Giants should not be allowed to do this without consequence. And this is the key phrase right here. Without consequence. There are so many things in this game that just have no consequence. And that's stupid. That sucks. That's not fun. Maybe it's fun for you if you're playing Willow and you're just abusing this, I guess, but like it doesn't create like a good gameplay balance in my opinion. Like I understand the game isn't going to be balanced from a roster standpoint when it comes to like, yeah, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is going to be way stronger than Hercule and Cyberman and Krillin and Yamcha and Tien, but like can we at least balance the mechanics? Just a smidge? Because right now they're not balanced at all. Characters with innate super armor have double super armor after entering sparking mode. This is overbearing on characters lower than 6 DP who also lack an instant sparking skill, as they have no way outside of sparking to stagger them anymore. This removes many forms of counterplay. What little counterplay there exists in this game. During sparking mode, giants have an unguardable full power smash that does 8,000 to 10,000 damage. This is a problem because sparking mode gives giants double super armor, which prevents any counterattack against the giant. In addition, the players can't stall out giant sparking drain because of spammable dashes. It also takes too long to recover after the giant smash attack, so it leads to infinite unguardable smashes with little counterplay. These smashes can defeat most characters with only 5 or so hits from full HP. Again, specifically this applies to Dr. Wheelo. Like, you see the gifs. You've all seen this before at this point if you've been playing the game. I'd be shocked and frankly very confused if anybody was in disagreement with this. Priority of attacks are not implemented consistently. The charge smash attack can clash with regular rush attacks, and rush chains can clash with regular rush attacks. Makes no sense. Sparking mode's key bar briefly stops draining when doing a Z counter. Sparking mode is already very strong and doesn't need to be prolonged even further. Yeah, I agree. I don't understand why it ever freezes. It should never freeze. It should be a consistent like your key should be consistently draining basically no matter what, in my opinion. There's no counter hit notification in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, meaning that there's no form of clear communication to the player what causes them to get hit. Yeah, this is just something that should exist in any sort of fighting game. Don't know why it doesn't in this one, you know. Characters who haven't recovered from being knocked away, we're on defense now. Characters who haven't recovered from being knocked away will still guard beam blasts that begin with a cutscene, including ultimate blast. For example, GT Goku Super Saiyan 4's Time Sense Kamehameha begins with a cutscene and can be guarded in this circumstance. Fully charged smash followed up by Time Sense Kamehameha where the opponent isn't guarding, and then you have one here where the opponent is guarding, and you notice the lower damage numbers. So, why is it that way? I don't know. Should it be that way? Not in my opinion, but it does currently. I would like to see that change. There's some inconsistency with rush attack combos. For most characters, when comboing from the front, even if the rush in attack, high, neutral, or low, hits, the follow-up rush attack will only hit if it is the second rush attack combo, and not the first rush attack combo, with the exception of Gogeta, Super Saiyan 4, and Birder. The first rush attack combo started with a punch after a rushing attack hits can be guarded. Again, why does it work this way? I don't understand. It's just inconsistent. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. It'd be one thing if like, oh, Gogeta's the only one who does this, but the fact like Birder also does it, is it just like a speed thing? Like I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, and Gogeta is one of the exceptions to this. So as you can see, you know, privileged ass character. He's so cool though. Characters with multi-hitting blasts and volley blasts have an issue where if the player gets hit with an individual instance of the blast, the player would be able to vanish the rest of it, including any follow-up cutscenes. I don't understand this. If you get hit by any of it, you should just be getting hit. You shouldn't be able to vanish after getting hit. This reminds me of like the really janky way that like jutsu sometimes work in the Naruto Storm games, where you can get hit by the jutsu and then use a substitution, which frankly doesn't really benefit the player getting hit. It benefits the player who hit them because you just wasted a sub and still took the damage. And you could argue the same thing in this, but it's not quite the same because this is a multi-hitting thing where it's like, instead of taking a lot more damage, you actually are getting out. And also vanishing is a significantly more abusable mechanic than substitutions are, because in that game, substitutions are limited to 4 and then it's on cooldown. And in this game is like, basically, you just get way more of them because they cost a little key and you can build up so much of it, right? So, yeah, I think that should be changed. If you get hit by it, once you get hit, you should not be able to vanish. You know what I'm saying? There should be a certain amount of like hit stun that you're in. Like you should need to be out of hit stun for a certain amount of time before you can vanish again. You know what I'm saying? So in Tenkaichi 3, many characters that did not have a step and sway would enter a counterattack or perception stance if the player did a step into guard. This was removed entirely in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Please bring this back, as it will improve combat fluidity and give the player/character an extra defensive option during close combat. I don't feel as strongly about this one, just because the way defensive mechanics currently work. It'd be different if we got all these other changes and then they also did this, but with the way things currently work, I'm not like mad at this one, but defense is already so obnoxious. You know, if an opponent vanishes a player's blast, the player shouldn't be locked in an animation for too long. Please consider standardizing the recovery across the cast of characters missing attack. Yeah, there's some characters who are just stuck in their pose for way too long. Like if you whiff a blast, if we're like full screen, yeah, you should probably be able to recover in time to not get hit, right? If we're as far apart as like these characters are in this GIF up here, like maybe I should recover in time. But like there's certain times where it's like, yo, like we're full screen and I'm like, you're able to Z burst dash from as far away as possible and still as far as ways you can be while still being locked on, right? And I'm still getting hit. Like it's just a little silly just how long you're stuck in some of those poses. It would make a lot more sense for it to be standardized across the board for all characters and all blast animations, but you know. Rush attacks and combos. We're only on page 8 of 26, so we're gonna be here for a while. It looks like, because I'm yapping a lot as well in between all of this. Recovery from Grand Slash Sweep is rather slow. This gives the player the ability to simply Grand Slash and immediately charge ki while the opponent can't respond. Please consider adjusting this. I mean, Grand Slash is pretty vanishable. I've had players try to do it to me and I'll get hit a couple times maybe here or there, but like typically I can vanish. Again, depending on how they tweak some of these other things, they should be adjusted. Should this be adjusted in general? I guess. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. And clearly they don't either, as it's only like yellow highlight and not red. But yeah, I get it. Allow charged smashes to be used at any point in rush combos. Currently, the only way to use any form of charged rush smash in a combo is near the 3rd or 4th hit, which limits combo variety and creativity. If used outside of the 3rd or 4th hit of a rush combo, the defending player usually gets enough time to simply turn around and guard or retaliate in some other way. They should not be able to do that. Currently, they activate with a delay, making them unusable in combos. These were useful in combo extensions in Tenkaichi 2 and 3. Don't know why they changed that. I would like to see it go back. Make jump smashes and jump rush key blasts accessible while in flight like in Tenkaichi 3. Yes, I would love that actually. Most of the combat takes place in the air. It is rare to find a situation in which the player is on the ground, so these utilities are left mostly unused in Tenkaichi 3. These were useful for combo extensions. Pretty much the only time I ever get to use aerial jump key blasts is like, or rather like jump from the ground and then do key blasts. That's the start of a round, like at the start of a match. I do that a lot as a round start. That's usually the only time in a match that I get to use it. There are some other instances here or there, but it's, you know, seldom. And yeah, these are just examples from Tenkaichi 3. Which, man, Tenkaichi 3 is still such a cool looking game. Key blast. Add a key blast cooldown after launching a certain amount of key blasts. Yeah, I would love that a lot. I think key blasts are extremely powerful in this game right now. I feel like they should cost more key and they could stay as strong as they are, but this is another idea that I wouldn't be mad at. This will circumvent the key blast spam and sparking mode issue by reintroducing the limitation of only a certain amount of key blasts being allowed to stay on the screen. Shooting 8 key blasts in Tenkaichi 3 and having to wait until the key blast is gone. Yeah, makes sense to me. Again, just making it more in line like with Tenkaichi 3. After a short dash, there is a period of time where using key blasts will still result in consecutive key blasts despite standing still. Please consider making this window shorter or remove it. Agreed. Jump rush key blasts have a gravitational pull. It makes using them incredibly awkward. Please change it so that the opponent receiving the key blast will be pushed back or remain in position, but remove the gravitational pull. And here you can see Piccolo getting pulled toward Vegeta. Yeah, I would also prefer it the other way around. That's just me though. Bring back the ability to jump after starting and stopping a combo while the hit counter is on screen. If the player hits the opponent and stops, they're unable to jump at all. Adding the ability to add in jump rush key blasts in a combo will add to combat diversity. Again, agreed. Just allowing for more creative and versatile offense, which currently doesn't really exist in this game. And again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Offense does not feel very rewarding in this game. With the limited way offense works on top of the incredible reward and low risk of all the defensive mechanics in the game, it's just like, offense isn't fun in the game right now. Grabs. Downed opponents can be thrown, normal throw when they are in the collapsed state of needing to recover key. Oh, so instead of just like a regular, instead of like the grounded throw, they just want regular throw? Am I misunderstanding this? Then throwing with classic controls is awkward because of the required step in. Yeah, I don't know why it works that way on classic controls. I play standard, so I don't have this issue, but it shouldn't work this way. The throw evasion window is too large. Yes, it is. Throws are way too easy to tech. Way too easy to tech. Like way too easy to tech. You can even, not only like can you tech throw. By the way, why can you tech throws not only very easily because the window is so huge, but also like during perception, which is again very broken and should not be possible. But like, let's say my opponent does like a big bang Kamehameha and they whiff and I throw them. They can break the throw. Why? Like why? If the player is airborne with a standard or giant character and vanish, the character is forced back to the ground after the vanish, depending on how close they are to the ground. In many situations, this will stop the vanishing player from being able to properly go on the offense and thereby avoids the reward of vanishing. Please remove this. I agree. Non-flying characters should be faster than the step-in barrier. Sure. Make general movement speed in close range, ascending, descending, and moving around the opponent faster. Even if the player has already made a combo lock, explanation of combo lock. If the player has hit their opponent successfully and have started a combo, while the hit counter is on screen, their movement is significantly slowed down. Only once the hit counter is gone can they move normally. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. Stepping against an airborne opponent will not make the player close the gap if they're on the ground. They will step in and remain stuck on the ground. Please change this. Yeah, it's kind of weird to me just because I'm just used to it not working that way in other games, but add wall bounces, character bounces like in Tenkaichi 3. In Tenkaichi 3, going around opponents with Z-Burst Dash or regular Dragon Dash causes a character bounce effect which allows for extended combos and other opportunities. In Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, going around a character with Z-Burst Dash will lead to the opponent flying past the player's character. That happens more than it should. It just, yeah. Allowing the player to jump / ascend into the short dash without delay. This allows smoother movement when dashing around. Tenkaichi 2 and 3 allow players to dash immediately after pressing jump descend, which leads to a smoother dash. Currently, pressing the dash right after a jump ascend quickly leads to a heavy delay, which leads to an unpleasant feeling. Yeah, it's not as smooth as the older games. This clip shows an example of a clean dash after pressing ascend, jumping in this situation quickly without delay. In Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, there is a delay when pressing dash quickly after a jump/ascend input. You'll see that a lot of these changes, very obviously, they want the game to be more like a traditional Tenkaichi game, which I think is very fair. I think that makes a lot of sense. This is meant to be a sequel to those games, and a lot of the changes that they made, I think, were in favor of making the game even easier and more accessible, but they made it a lot less fun and a lot more imbalanced, in my opinion. Dashes. Please remove key consumption for short dashes, but re-implement short dash chaining from earlier demos of the game. In other words, so I didn't get to experience this because I never got to play the game before it came out, but in other words, the short dash itself cannot consume or should not consume ki, but the chains should. Context. An earlier demo build, few days after Summer Games Fest demo, allowed multiple short dashes to happen without a cooldown. Being able to chain a short dash, another short dash was a great idea. It would make Dragon Ball Sparking Zero feel like Tenkaichi again by improving combat variety, movement speed, and freedom of control. Yeah, I never got to experience that. That's pretty sick. Yeah, I want that. What? That's so cool. The momentum and speed from one short dash needs to carry its momentum until the character stops their movement, like in Tenkaichi 3. Agreed. If the previous point is not implemented, sure. Any type of dashing in Tenkaichi 3, whether a dragon dash or regular dash, didn't force a hard lock on the opponent. What is hard lock? Flying towards the opponent will always bring the player directly to them, whether or not the player is at the same height level as the opponent. In Tenkaichi, the player can choose to either fly above or under them, or just fly directly towards them. It's not possible to short dash above or under the opponent anymore in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero without an invisible wall stopping the character, which is most prominent in the step and barrier when the player is close to the opponent. Please remove the walls above and under opponents. This is unusual for a moving environment. Yeah, the invisible wall is it's really weird, not only for the movement, but then just even for like the camera and just like the flow of the gameplay. Like I don't really understand it either. I don't understand the purpose of the point or why it's like that, like whatsoever. Man, like seeing these GIFs and like comparisons, like, you know, going through this just makes me realize just how much more fluid and just better Tenkaichi 3 was. This example demonstrates how Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's movement speed can only be maximized by wasting ki with short dashes in conjunction with ki blasts. In Tenkaichi 3, the player has full control over precise movement and it's free of any resources, which it should be. Maybe I should just play Tenkaichi 3. maybe the solution here is we all need to just play Tenkaichi 3. Not the same though, because it's like the player base isn't obviously nearly as large, and that game wasn't really like made for online, and so you have to go through, you know, alternative means to do it and stuff. And it's like not the hugest deal in the world, but it's like, you know, why can't the new game just be better, you know? Dragon dashes. Speed up dragon dashes. In Tenkaichi 3, these can be used to catch the opponent in their knockback phase, but since the knockback speed is faster, the dragon dash speed is no longer adequate to give the spacious nature of the battle stages. Agreed. In Tenkaichi 3, there were two types of dragon dashes, homing and free. Free dragon dashes were used to fly above or under the opponent parallel to the ground. When combined with the homing dragon dash, the player could redirect movement to get around the opponent for combos or other opportunities. This is different from using Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's Z-Burst dash, because in Tenkaichi 3, the player can cancel a free dragon dash into a homing dragon dash, back to a free, back to a homing, etc., providing many opportunities for repositioning without being forced to approach the opponent. Please add a feature to cancel the Z-Burst dash in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero with a dragon dash or regular dash. Again, like there's so many movement options that are like missing from this game that are so drastically different from Tenkaichi 3. In BT3, homing used to be faster than free flight. Homing isn't separated from free dragon dash anymore. Instead, homing is now within the free flight mechanic. Because of the combined mechanic, flying towards the opponent should be faster than any other direction. This is also how it works in Xenoverse 2 with their flight mode. It's just natural to have any Dragon Ball 3D Arena games. It's just natural to have in any Dragon Ball 3D Arena game. Again, I don't understand why they went the route that they did in Sparking Zero with stuff like this. Lower the ki consumed by the dragon dash to allow the player to approach the opponent appropriately. This can be frustrating if the opponent is far away and the player wishes to catch up without being forced to drift slowly to manage ki. Yeah, so many situations where I've been in like that where it's like, oh, I don't have the ki for this, so here we go, I guess. The player can't instantly go from dragon dash, ascend, descend into a free dragon dash. It is only possible to ascend/descend in a short dash. Let's change this. Pointing the directional input the opposite direction in which the player will fly will cancel the dragon dash. This is frustrating when the player wants to make quick turns or when the camera changes unpredictably, which happens a lot in this game. The only way the player should stop a dragon dash to be in a standing position should be by tapping X, or, you know, A on Xbox or whatever. I agree. Doing a fully charged smash can give the player an opportunity to follow with a homing dragon dash. In Tenkaichi 2, the only option the player had from the dash was the dragon smash, attacking the enemy to send them flying away even further. In Tenkaichi 3, they added a new feature to cancel this homing dragon dash into a free dragon dash, opening new opportunities to fly above the opponent and catching them from behind with a wall bounce or stun barrier. Stun barriers were present in the demos of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero and removed on release, don't know why. This technique was known in the community as Dragon Dash cancel maneuvers. Please consider bringing this back. It would add a lot of depth and variety to the combat and overall playstyles. And then there's an example, or multiple examples in the GIF, here below, as you can see. I really want to know what their reasoning was, or like what the philosophy, or like the, the agenda was with removing some of these features that were in the demo. Revenge counter. Make revenge counter set both players to neutral. Neutral means that both players are in standing positions without any advantages, disadvantages, and allow them to work when a player is being attacked from behind. I agree. So again, even though I have talked a lot about how I don't like the defensive mechanics in this game and how obnoxious I think they are and how they're basically very imbalanced and like high reward, low risk. If you make the changes that I would want to see to super counter, then it makes sense to have the actual easy accessible option of revenge counter be more useful to actually escape combos, because people always, no matter how much I explicitly state what I mean and try to be as crystal clear and articulate as possible. Oh, so you just want infinite combos in the game? You just want people to get hit in the back for free? You just want TODs in the game? Like, no, you fucking moron. I very clearly don't want that. And the fact that you assume that just shows your clear lack of critical thinking or ability to process any information whatsoever. Revenge counter should be buffed so that it works when somebody's behind you in order to help circumvent that. And it's just, yeah, I think revenge counters are useless for almost every way that they intended it to be used. For the most part, I think it's a very weak mechanic personally. It has its uses, but I think for what it's mainly supposed to be, which is a combo breaker, it's almost useless. They can be countered by almost every defensive utility in the game, and currently the person being hit by the revenge counter has an attack priority. Makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. Characters. Cell's second form throw cannot be countered by throw evasion other than super counter, and it is very quick, leading to an unguardable loop. For Piccolo and Bojack, if the opponent has nearly 0 health and these characters grab the opponent will not be KO'd. You have buggy moves which are not comprehensive. So you have Bird is fully charged, Grand Slash cannot bypass higher neutral guard, Adult Gohan, Ultimate Gohan's Monster's Ki Blast Cannon. When done after a full rush string into a step in, their Ki Blast Cannon will blow the opponent out of the combo as if it were used twice in the same combo. Tapion cannot continue his combo after using flying kicks. Please fix this. Please. Andrews 19 and 20 need to lose Ki for Dragon Dashing. Facts. Yeah, I mean, we could see a lot of changes with these two in particular. Cause boy. Give Turles Rolling Hammer for a rush chain. What's the argument here? Turles currently has 3 heavy finishes and 1 blaster wave. This gives him extremely limited options to extend combos and makes him very unreliable character in most cases. Many unreliable characters in Tenkaichi 3 were given moveset updates in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I mean, sure, I guess. I don't think it's the end of the world if you give Turles Rolling Hammer. Why not? Consider making character archetypes more relevant in gameplay. Okay, so yes, big agree, but also in character select or in the bios, whatever, maybe it is somewhere I couldn't find it. Can we have the characters labeled for which archetype they are? Because there was stuff I was trying to do early on and things I wanted to talk about with the game, but I couldn't because I just didn't know all the archetypes and like which characters were which. And like you can make assumptions, but I just wasn't confident in it. So like, yes, make archetypes more relevant and then also label every character with which archetype they are. And then we have a bunch of bugs, glitches, and other. When the player and the opponent are on the ground and in contact with each other, there's a very consistent bug that inhibits the player from stepping left or right around the opponent, causing a dodge without moving positions. Man, this bullshit right here happens to me so much. Sidesteps are like, they should be more useful than they are. They are good, but because of how inconsistent they are and how buggy it is like this, it's just, I've taken a lot more damage than I should for not being able to properly sidestep my opponent. Depending on the situation the player is in, if they're attacking a downed opponent or win a rapid movement exchange, the game will force them to stop attacking the opponent if they successfully caught them and allow them to get out. Please change this so that if the player happens to catch the opponent with the first or second punch, they can continue punching. Yes. Combos randomly stopping after 2 rush attacks. This as well. Like, this has happened to me a ton as well. Don't understand it. After image strike, and while since all stop working when guarding or deflecting key blasts. Please fix this. Yeah. Some items have equipped on characters would be turned on even if the magical settings have turned them off. I've seen this happen in World Tournament. Like, we were recording a video with the homies, and we were playing a World Tournament with items off, but items that I had equipped on the Tapion to test it out in training mode were equipped on him in the tournament despite items being off, which very clearly shouldn't happen. Combat camera requires improved stability. Man, yeah, like the camera kind of sucks. That camera kind of sucks, basically. Like, you see this difference? Is just the tilting and everything like that at times is cool, but more often than not, it's just like unnecessary. The Z search is trash. Lock on is garbo in this game. It doesn't fucking work. Lock on being difficult to reobtain isn't a bad thing, but when the player can clearly see the opponent, they should acquire lock on. If I can see this nigga with my own two human eyes, the character with power beyond comprehension, that of a god across the multiverse, should be able to see somebody a few feet in front of them. You know? Crazy thought, I know. Pan skill stand spirit causes her vanishing attack to do around 8,000 damage individually. This is particularly problematic when she's in sparking mode, as she can do back-to-back vanishing attacks, which do an incredible amount of damage. Pan's standard damage on her vanishing attack is 1187. Pan's boosted damage on her vanishing attack after stand spirit is 7. Wow. I did not know that. What? I play Pan. I did not know that. That's crazy. Goodness gracious. I never noticed. That's OD. Wow. Okay. Today I learned. Negative edge input button release. A button input is registered when it is released. Please remove this. It messes with delayed button presses and forces an attack to come out when the intention of the player is not to attack. Yeah. Lift strike follow-up randomly cause the opponent to turn around even when it's being performed from behind the opponent. Yes. Fix it, please. When a rush combo is being performed from behind the opponent, from the first rush string to the second to the first, during the second string to the first, the opponent can instantly turn around without any turn animation. Please fix it. Lift strike randomly missing. Please fix it. After the Z-Burst dash connects, sometimes the player is too far from the opponent to continue a combo. Makes no sense. Please fix it. Combos just randomly dropping like that sucks. Again, offense is not being rewarding in this game and being inconsistent. Picking different stages saves different characters on the character select screen. That is also very annoying. Health bar regeneration is no longer limited to only filling up the current bar, making team-based battles significantly longer for characters not being accessed for a prolonged period of time. Health regen should be nerfed in the game in general. Make it so that you can only recover up to that bar that you were left on. So if you were down to your last bar health, you can't go back up to having 2 bars. That, or slow down the speed of health regeneration in general. QOL changes prevent Genkai Top X Survivor from playing or play another track when the enable music BGM setting is off. Yeah, there's like, I don't know why you have a setting in the game for turning off anime music if you're gonna let this song play anyway. Not even for the sake of just like I don't want to hear the song, but also like copyright and stuff like that. But it's just like, it's just annoying. Like, as a content creator especially, I have had 2 of my videos get claimed and the revenue taken away because that song played in the video. And I ended up just turning off in-game music, I think, because of that. But yeah, that's annoying. And it sucks too because I like the music in the game and I like the anime music, but as a content creator, I can't really use that stuff. And so that playing anyway, despite that setting being turned off, is very annoying. Skip intros, yes. Training settings should have customizable presets, yes. Training mode in general just fucking sucks in this game, like really bad, like really, really bad, like really, really, really bad. Training mode should add an option to record CPU actions, yes, please. Character select screen should have the option to collapse transformation to the base character, yes, please. Yeah, I would like it more if the character select screen functioned a little bit more like that. Allow more time to pick characters in DP rank matches, yes. Custom battle should have an option for an audio cue when dialogue occurs, yes. Neither the character select screen or the encyclopedia actually explain what archetype of character is in game. So as I said earlier, it's unclear what characters are classified. For example, this was a speed character, but Hit isn't a speed character. This seems misleading without having a way to outright check before picking the character. I just mentioned this a few minutes ago, so you already know where I stand. Please consider adding an online practice mode, please. Customization should add a color wheel option for all the characters. I would love that. I highly doubt that'll happen, but I would love that. Custom battle should have a search function for finding specific text. Yes. Preset colors, we need alternate colors, at least 2 colors per character, for nothing else than just to distinguish characters during mirror matches. Then the custom controls should have more options to customize the button layout. Yes, don't understand why the button layout is so limited. Add ability to create team presets. I've mentioned a ton of this stuff in my survey video and in my changes I want to see in the game video, where I talked about Sparking Zero is fun, but which the game has gotten progressively less fun every day for me. A player match queue is needed. Yes. Again, I mentioned all of this stuff. Accessibility options need visualizers. Okay, this isn't something that I mentioned, but yes, the game can significantly benefit from content for which assets already exist. Yeah, more stages. So Combat House, Capsule Corp, Kami's Lookout. These assets, like, people have already seen, like, we've already seen these in the game. Like, these stages like exist in the game, but they're not actually accessible or playable. Why? Don't know. Is it because they want to sell it to us as DLC later? Like, I don't know. Or yeah, I don't know. Maybe beneficial to make some Goku / Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks outfits available for other variants for other respective characters for customization variety. Whis Gi for Goku Super. Yeah, I agree. Please add more battle stages and variations, including more opportunities to completely destroy stages. Similar dynamic. Yes. Add more costumes. Yes. Customization. Yes. Please consider bringing back HQ versions of legacy soundtracks from the Western releases of Tenkaichi 2 and 3. That would be dope. Highly doubt that would happen, but that would be cool. Please consider bringing back offline game modes such as survival and mission 100. Yes, survival mode, like just more single player content, just more content for people to play the game. Presentation, the punches and kicks in a lot of run animations come across the game lack impact. I agree, either through weaker screen shake, less impactful sound design, or slower animation. Yeah, the hits don't feel as beefy as they did in older games, especially some of the super animations. Some of them are cool, some of them not so much. Some of them are like surprisingly lackluster. Add the out of bounds boundary that was in Tenkaichi 2 and 3 in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. It's very hard to visually discern when a character is near the edge of the stage. I talked about this a lot as well. Why? Like, I don't know how you describe. Well, I mean, he does describe it here, but you know what I mean. Like, you have this like geometric kind of thing to show where the out of bounds boundary is, where the walls are. We would still refer to this as an invisible wall, but the invisible walls are like actually invisible in Sparking Zero. Like, you cannot see them, you cannot distinguish where you're at, and that needs to be fixed. Obviously, I sped up the second half of this document a little bit more, just because I didn't want the video to be 2 hours long, and I realized I was going through things kind of slow. But hopefully I didn't speed through it too quickly. But yeah, I agree with what 98% of what was in here, 99% even. And there's nothing in here that I strongly disagree with. And I'm going to look into who some of these people are, because I wasn't familiar with them. I assume that everybody whose name I don't know was like a high level Tenkaichi 2 and Tenkaichi 3 player. And some of you guys might be familiar with these names, but they just echoed everything I've been saying in my videos. So I mean, yeah, like the Tenkaichi players feel the same way that I do, and I'm not even some high level pro. A lot of this is just stuff that just makes sense. Like, it's just logical, you know what I mean? It just would make for a better game, in my opinion. I guess you could argue and you could say that, well, if myself and all these guys feel this way, then just go play the old games. I kind of already explained why that's kind of a stupid argument, but I guess you're not necessarily wrong entirely, but there are clearly reasons why we would like to play the new game, you know what I'm saying? Like, but at the end of the day, if we do think Tenkaichi 3 is a better game, we could still go play Tenkaichi 3, so, you know. I don't know what that December patch has in store, but I hope a lot of this stuff is in it. High hopes, low expectations, but I think this was an incredible document. Shout out to everybody here, all the contributors who took part in this. Like I said, most of this stuff I've already been saying, so yeah, let me know what you guys think though. What are your thoughts in the comment section down below? Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all the awesome content I'm bringing you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I have for today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.